The most dangerous path a man can walk is the one that grows their wisdom. Just as one candle can ignite another, so too can one mind ignite another. In the beginning there were 3 brothers who went to walk Midgard's shores. Wandering they came across 2 humans who had their body already formed. Their leek was that of the trees Ask and Embla. The brothers found great interest in these fledgling humans, but they lacked that which made them human, godlike, able to explore and enjoy the realm of Midgard to their heart's content. The brothers decided to bestow on these chosen 2 gifts that would allow them to be truly alive and experience the world. The brothers knew that Midgard was full of great dangers, wild beasts, frost giants, devourers, and Jotuns of all shapes, sizes, and tribes. The gods themselves are Jotuns, but align themselves with life and growth, rather than solely their own pleasure at the expense of others. How best could they prepare the children of the forest to brave this world, shaping and creating as they pleased? It was decided each of the brothers would give gifts to our ancestors that would prepare them to heroically brave the world and perhaps thrive in it. Odin, wise in the workings of many types of Galder, imparted onto Ask and Embla the knowledge of Ond, the breath of life itself, to be able to create or destroy with their voice, to show pain, joy, and all the emotions we can sense from the way others speak, to be able to impart passion and one's own essence through the air, each sound a declaration of the power or weakness we all project outward. V, in his wisdom, thought deeply on the Ond, and spark of life his brother had given the pair. What good would it be to create and communicate if one could not dwell on what was said, to be able to interpret the way of things, the way they could be, without the power of thought or hugr? What use would creating be? To understand is to be able to move, and to be able to influence the world around us, for no lone tree can withstand a windswept place alone. Villi was troubled. If Ask and Embla could create and dwell on the world, to what end would it matter if they could not interpret who they were to each other via their hammer? To the pair he gave the ability to change their outward appearances to others, the ability to sense strength, weakness, who someone is or perhaps is destined to be, who they are not or are trying to be, the godliness to be able to change who they are and what others perceive, to sense and feel emotions. For what is more godly than changing who one is and their own path and fate? With thought, hugr, and the ability to perceive and alter perceptions, hammer, alongside the ability to create and destroy with their breath, ond, a way to track what has happened, memory, or meaning came to be present in Ask and Embla. A way to remember what has happened through their lives, which could be passed down to their children at the time of conception, deeply rooted in their DNA and essence, like an ancient oak tree's roots reaching into the earth. Meaning also serves as a token one can give to hell and death, for the only currency we bring to our halls are the memories of how we have lived, that we can add to Mimir's well. With the birth of Ask and Embla as humans as we know them today, they attracted a spiritual representation of themselves, or fylgja, a part of us that comes into being with our birth and typically takes the form of an animal, which represents who we are and changes as we change. Each tribe and people have a fylgja of their own that represents who they are as a folk and people. By learning one's fylgja and how to control it, one becomes able to travel to the different realms while their leek is still rooted in Midgard. With the ability to journey via the fylgja, something else had to be present to access the meaning, memory, and keep safe the leek, body, while the person traveled. To this end, the Watcher, or the Vard, came to be, a part of us that watches us from birth to death, and once we have passed, lingers for a time. It can be brought forth by powerful practicers of Seder once a human has passed through Hell's gates or the other halls, until at least, if ever, the person returns to Midgard in their family line. In death, a time comes when a person's total power, luck, and personality and fame or Hamingia need to go somewhere. A majority is retained with the person on their hell-bound path, where we all pass through before the other great halls. It passes to the family, as it already partially passes to a new child at the time of birth from the family. The luck or misfortune of a person at birth is tied to the family's Hamingia. When a child is named after an ancestor, it is done in hopes their Hamingia will go to them and ideally give them a path to return to the family from hell's halls. With good fortune and fame personified as Hamingia, power and spiritual essence manifested in Ask and Embla, as it does in all places, people, and the gods. It began to course through them and grow or decline with their actions. Over time, they gave their essence into things they crafted and built, which at times they offered as gifts of friendship, gifts to their children, and especially honorings to the gods. By breaking what they made, the energy was released, and at times the gods give back some of their own energy, or as-making, to us. It is said making resides in the blood, which is why the runes are blooded. With everything that was given and now present in Ask and Embla, what would keep them from reverting back to their lowest mundane form, simply existing without using their gifts of full being? A final force of inspiration, passion, and madness, Od, was needed to drive the gifts to be used, to create, build, and at times destroy. For who cannot say there are some amongst us driven by an unseen force we wish we could tap? As a word of warning, Od can consume one and needs to counterbalance a person with equal passion. Otherwise, you'll soon find yourself wandering, having realized you are alone. Ask and Embla now stood on the beach with the brothers, but in them a desire to shape and create sprang forth. It would not be under the beck and call of the gods, but of their own making, power and internal strength. As our ancestors would call it, matar och making, or the strength and ability we possess within us. With this they vanished into the night, the children of the forest, the children of the gods. The brothers watched silently, knowing their paths would cross again, and the Aesir and Vanir would come to assist them in their times of needs, although the children of the forest did not know this yet. We know through the Eddas and our very existence the gods would and did help create the conditions for us to thrive. It is to their very actions and gifts we owe who we are. However, they would not want us to feel a debt and that our only reason for existence was to serve them. They would want us to explore and create, not look for someone in authority and power to drive our actions. As a final word of warning and wisdom, the gods are always closer than they seem, perhaps moving among us, leaving hidden knowledge or invoking the Od within us. To the beginning heathen, as you gain knowledge of the gods and start to find your way, you will know who you wish to honor and tie your making and Hamingia to. Above all, remember, the best way to honor the gods is to learn their stories and share their journeys as we would an ancestor. What they have done or failed to do gives us the ability to shape ourselves and our communities. If nothing else, as Valfather might say, always ask, why? Weigh the actions of a person, good and bad, for not all of one is either. More times than not, all it takes to change someone's path is you being a boulder and you showing them you are there to help change them for the better. Each day of our life is a choice. Each choice the hammer on the anvil of fate. Each path we take a chapter in our own saga. Remember your past.